Hi, I'm Jeremy Crosby.
And I'm Nick Boucher. We're the hosts for the program that's all about your city, Talking Fitchburg.
Every day, we pull together the news, events, and information you need to stay on top of what's happening in the city of Fitchburg.
Find Talking Fitchburg on cable TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, and our live stream on the web. Plus, you can view all our headlines and stories on Facebook, YouTube, and our video on demand service. This is your city.
Keep up with Talking Fitchburg and the issues that affect you and your neighbors.
Want to know what's happening in your city? Get Notify Me messages from the City of Fitchburg. Visit fitchburgwi.gov on your computer or mobile device and select the big Notify Me button on the left. Enter your email and/or phone number, whichever is best for you to get notifications. Scroll down the list and select all the topics you're interested in to receive email or text messages about. You'll be notified every time one of your topics is updated. Sign up for Notify Me, one more way to keep up with your Fitchburg government.
The August 20th Ag and Rural Affairs Committee to order. Approval of the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
A motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. All in favor say aye, please.
Aye.
Opposed, a like sign. Ayes have it. Public appearance for non-agenda items. Are you here for a non-agenda item?
Nope.
Okay.
Yep. He's for item B.
Okay,
That's Ed
cool.
Code.
Ed, okay, yep. Okay, there's no one here, so we'll move. Item 4 is agenda review. Deanna, please.
No changes to the agenda this evening. However, we might want to do so because the mayor does not seem to be present. So if you would like to wait till the mayor's present to discuss the Agricultural Museum, otherwise, why don't we
Move to item B.
move to item B?
Okay. Orchard Road Minor Comp Plan Amendment. Deanna, we'll start with you.
Yep, just give me a second here. I'm going to bring up the supporting documents, and we do have Ed Cody joining us, and he is available for any questions. But I will provide some background information for you all and open up the discussion. So what we have here is a 3-acre parcel on Orchard Road. It's kind of between two different residential parcels. So my search of the former records indicates that this lot was created by Meets and Bounds in 1962 by the Hagemans when they sold this parcel to another owner. It appears that this was probably always intended to be some sort of residential development, at least in my world. It certainly wasn't intended as 3 acres to be farmland. So currently, the current future land use on this parcel is agriculture and open space. So Mr. Cody is planning to do an application for a minor comp plan amendment to change the future land use from agriculture and open space to low-density residential. And, of course, in order to build, he would still need to have a rezone on that parcel because the current zoning is AX on the parcel. Right. I put in your packet, this is just some historical imagery from 1974. I suggested that Mr. Cody bring this before this committee for any feedback and consideration before he actually submits the application for minor comp plan amendment, just to get some feedback and see if you all agree that this is a reasonable request to go from agriculture to low-density residential for the future land use.
would that be low density or
Oh, yeah, I'm
RD.
sorry. You probably, it should be rural residential.
rural residential? That's what I thought.
Yep.
So,
My apologies.
okay, cool. You have any comments, Mr. Cody?
Oh, can you come up to the?
Come up to the mic, please. Yep, that would be helpful.
The piece of property itself, it seems unuseful for any particular reason. It's too small to farm. The landscaping is not level. It got a hill, rises up, stays that way. I bought it nine years ago, and it was just so grown up, all honeysuckle and whatnot, and it basically was just a barrier between me and the next neighbor. And I spent more effort this year kind of cleaning it up, making it look like maybe a park setting. That's about all I could really use the land for, just to look at it. It is very rocky, so I went through a couple lawnmowers trying to, because you can't see it in the weeds, and once you decide, we'll keep the weeds at yay height, well, you forgot about the stumps that you took down a bunch of trees and whatnot. I spoke with my neighbors about it, and they think it's a good idea for myself. And they asked me, one neighbor did seem like he was interested because he wanted to know how much, and the other neighbor said, well, let us know if you're going to sell it for sure, because we'd like to talk to our friends and let them know before you list it and see where it goes. Other than that, I didn't think about doing too much to it all these years because I was busy with work. This year, I found out I got a brain mass, so it'll help my family take care of me for the next few years if I was to sell it. I'm no longer working, and it's a bad deal for me, but I want to do what I can for my family as well.
Okay, thank you very much for your comments.
Thanks.
Any thoughts from the committee members? I did look at this lot. It's not been farmed from what the neighbors have told me. In the history way back in the Hageman family, it's never been farmed. So, any other comments from any committee members?
Yeah, I too drove by and looked at it. Looks like you did a real good job of cleaning it up. I can see where it probably was a challenge with the trees and things there. And yeah, it seems like it just backs up to a woodland. So I don't know when the Hagemans did actually. I guess they had tilled it many years ago, but that's probably goes way back.
Yeah.
Before any houses were developed in there, maybe.
Not in the memory of he or his dad. They didn't.
Yeah.
So.
Seems very reasonable, but did you say this would be zone RR?
Rural residential. It should
Low
be.
density.
Yeah. Rural residential.
LD.
I think that's what fits.
Yeah, I should have caught that. I think we should take it to rural residential. Yep.
Very good.
What is it has the size requirements for rural residential then?
Yeah,
To be a
it will be.
developable-
This is in the future land use, but yeah, rural residential should be fine.
Okay.
It certainly is not a productive piece of agricultural land, and I don't have any objection to it.
Okay.
So, okay. There's no motion before us. There's nothing
No.
before us. This is just informational. So, I would, Ed, if you submit this, we have no problem with approving it. So, pardon? Thank you very much. You bet. Thank you, Ed.
Thank you.
Good luck to you. Okay. farmland preservation zoning ordinance update and discussion. Deanna?
Yep. Okay, so we are on a timeline to keep this moving. We need to submit our final application for review and recertification to the state by October 1. And so the staff has incorporated comments and from our last couple of meetings. We've made a few changes. I think we're pretty close here in terms of the overall text and the overall changes. There's only one thing that I want to touch base with you, and I know that Shelley had made some comments. I put the 50% of his or her gross income, so section 22-482. Number 2, I put that 50% back in. After Brad and I relooked at the state code and the state model ordinance, we think that this maybe needs to remain in there. I did speak with my contact at the state. He suggested that that it is very difficult to enforce, but to stay consistent with the state, I think we need to continue with this. But of course, what'll happen now? I hope if this committee is comfortable with where we are at the document right now, I will. Brad and I are going to submit this to our to this for some review. The review will go to the city attorney, an initial review with the state, an initial review with Dane County, to get any feedback from them before we do the actual application by October 1st. Once we're good with the state, they are willing to conditionally approve the updates and the changes in the ordinance, it will come back to you for final approval. We'll come back to Ag and Rural. We'll go to Plan Commission and go to Council also. And I hope that was kind of clear.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Does the committee members have any comments or additions for Deanna?
Maybe just 2A. Is the intention there to address physical tillage or agricultural use? With so much land in no-till, I wonder if we're creating an unintentional ambiguity there.
Well, I think you bring up a good point. That this text is actually coming from our current rural residential criteria, and that's the exact same text. I don't think that we need to refer directly to the tillage piece. You could just say compatible with adjacent farm operations. It's kind of like we said, no history of tillage. However, so I'll take feedback on that.
Okay, I probably only caught that or was turned on to that thought by what we just reviewed, a piece of agricultural land with no history of tillage. But so is Ark's land, no history of tillage, to some degree. So I don't know if it hurts or hurts anything by saying no history of like cropping rather than tillage.
I guess where you're probably going more, maybe not just tillage, but pasture.
Could be, yeah, it could be. That could be pasture. And no-till is tilling. It just is less disturbing to the land if you use no-till. So Pasture certainly would be something that agriculture is in the agricultural world. So I personally don't have a problem with it the way it is. So
Just to the non-farmer, what is the difference between tillage and cropped?
Think of turning the soil over and having dark black dirt on the surface and planting into a turned over soil.
That's tillage?
That's tillage
Thank you.
versus planting right into surface ground.
the no-till is a well recommended form of planting crops, and it allows for less disturbing of the topsoil. So it's more it saves more of the topsoil and saves the runoff and all of those things.
So I certainly we can look at. This is not the actual document. We certainly can look if to say crops
Agricultural use. I mean, that covers pasture, tillage.
Yeah.
And to kind of echo what Mark said, I'm not opposed to it the way it is. I wanted to make sure that the intent was correct if we care so much.
We can work. I think maybe what we'll just rework that as specific agricultural use. That might take out the word tillage and with no history of agricultural use.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments from the committee members? And when I spoke with Amy and Roger, Roger was concerned about the 50%. He's always been concerned about that.
I know.
And I'm not. So anyway, but that was his only comment. He wanted us to bring that up. So.
So he thought it should be higher, Mark?
No, I'm with Roger also in that I don't think there's a whole lot of farms that exist where that's an option.
So he thinks the threshold should be lower. That's
yeah,
there's no way to monitor it.
right. To your point, the enforcement of that
Yeah, there's no way.
is difficult. Okay.
Yeah, there's no way to enforce it, and it's difficult to have a sustainable income off of strictly agricultural use.
Yep.
But so those two factors are what Roger's concerns are.
Yeah,
I have to agree with that too. I mean, how to actually determine someone's income. I mean, I would think that would be universal throughout a lot of municipalities.
That's a very slippery slope because
yeah.
A few years ago when I was doing a project through the county in one of the townships, the security of documents that we brought in to prove that, in fact, the county had no way of securing the documents. And so they wanted no part of that, having custody of that tax returns and things like that, because there was no way to keep them secure. So they declined. They just said, "You're fine. You don't have to prove it to us. You're fine." So anyway.
So what we can do when we go for our county review, we can flake this and get some feedback from them.
As far as the feedback, I'd be interested in hearing from other municipalities. I mean, we're a city with a large amount of ag land, but what are these other? If this has to be statewide ordinance addressed, what are the other areas? What do they think about that? You know.
Okay.
All right.
Mark? So I'm going to bring up the issue that we've talked about before, which is the loophole. And I'm reminded of whatever it was that we approved several months ago, carving out a little piece of property.
Gorman?
Yes. And I think we had discussed at the time that the way this is written, you could have one spouse, who sells tomatoes that he or she has grown at a roadside stand, and then that's 50% of their income because they don't have any other income. And so I know that the state law is written as a person and an individual who earns, but if anybody cares about that loophole, I wonder if we could use household who earns rather than the individual. And if there's anybody cares about that, then maybe you could talk to your state counterpart.
I see what you're saying. So an adult child living at home who gets their allowance for selling veggies made on the farm might meet that 50% threshold, therefore the whole entire property does.
Right. But, if there's not a big concern that this language could be exploited in ways you don't want, then it's probably not worth worrying about. But we had discussed it before, so I just wanted to raise it again.
Very good. I don't have a problem with the way it's written. So
That's where my mind goes, is I just don't see a whole lot of opportunity for this to be a problem. And so
there's been a few cases where that was used, but not a lot. So for quite a few years. So okay.
If you are, I would appreciate a motion that you are comfortable with staff continuing on with this, with the ordinance, at least as written. I have some notes to check on the tillage issue. Should that just be agricultural use? I will also bring up the 50% and the enforcement issue. We'll follow up on that. But I would appreciate a motion that this committee is supportive of continuing to move ahead in our process.
Very good. I have no problem with that. Can we have a motion?
Can that motion hold one more meeting until other members are present, or should we have to make that motion today?
Yep.
I would appreciate, it's not required. Okay. I would appreciate, we probably won't meet soon again.
Roger and Amy, the two that are missing, when I spoke with them, had no issues with it. So
Roger had an issue with the 50%.
Well, he had the 50%, yes, but Amy did not have any issues at all. So if we could have a motion,
I move to approve city council or city staff continuing work on this resolution.
That's nice.
Is there a second, please?
I like the way she said that. I'll second that.
Okay, very good. So motion made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, a like sign. The ayes have it. It's carried. Item D.
That is me also. Here. Okay, I have included the neighborhood planning land use plans in your packet for this evening, just as an informational update. And one as an information and an update, and then just to offer you all the opportunity to offer any comments and suggestions to staff here too. As a body that refers directly into Plan Commission, I thought it was important to keep you all in the loop of the status of the neighborhood plans. So before you this evening, I've included the South Stoner neighborhood plan as it stands right now in terms of the land use proposal. We have refined this down from two separate land use plans This plan is exactly what went back to the steering committee for any final comments. I see you all as kind of another steering committee for us to provide any comments. So just briefly, we're showing Commerce Park. That's where Commerce Park is here, extending straight down. The challenge of this site, of this neighborhood plan, is the quarry operations, as you know. The Bashas have indicated their intention not to quarry their parcel, which is these parcels over here. This is the Yahara parcel currently, and these are all the Payne and Dolan parcels. So we're proposing some business park and neighborhood mixed use up on Lacey Road, transitioning to housing. What you're seeing is the potential for a school. Verona School District has not made a commitment to a new elementary school here, but we're leaving that option open at this particular time. This would end up to be some high walls in here, so it just becomes open space. A major road collector east-west here, and then another collector east-west with residential. So be high-density residential, medium-high residential, medium-density residential, and some low-density. So this is the current, where we are current in terms of our planning process.
Deanna, if that zone for the school does not become a school, because I know Verona is looking at a different location for another elementary school, which I believe they voted on yesterday. So if this doesn't happen, which it would be lovely if it did, are we to take the purple slashes as saying that would be business park then, and then high density?
Yes,
Okay.
You are exactly right.
Thank you.
Any other questions about the Stoner Prairie plan from the committee?
The next step is to go back to the steering committee, and that steering committee is scheduled for September 26th. So, and you don't have, if you have some comments or questions at a later date, feel free to just reach out to me, and we'll take those comments. The 26th for South Stoner, 5:30. We don't have a room set at this particular point.
Deanna, I have a question on the timing for the development of.
Yeah.
I know the quarrying there was a time frame put on the quarrying.
It was.
And I believe it was 5 years or 10 years. I don't remember which it was.
So Plan Commission, after support from Ag and Rural, issued a conditional use permit to Yahara to do their quarrying operations for 5 years, which means that they would, if they intend to continue quarrying operations, they would need to return to Ag and Rural and also to Plan Commission for a new conditional use permit. I have no specific conversations with Yahara on their timeline at this point.
The Payne and Dolan property, any timeline on any of that, or?
No, the Payne and Dolan has not provided any timeline for when they might be interested in developing their parcels. And of course, this proposed development of single family, the city already has approved a comprehensive development plan for this parcel. It is already in the urban service area. Payne and Dolan has not provided any timelines for development there.
Okay. All right.
Deanna, in general, with the neighborhood plans, take for example Commerce Park Drive, Collector A. Are those all roads that go in through a transportation project plat, or is it that's kind of the vision, and when someone comes along to develop it, they must put those roads in according to this diagram.
Number 2.
Oh.
Yep. So this, a neighborhood plan adopted by council becomes part of our comprehensive plan. All of our rezoning and land divisions by state law have to conform or be consistent with our comp plan. So this becomes the guiding document. Of course, that guiding document can change with a minor comp plan amendment or an update, but for a developer to come forward in the South Stoner neighborhood area, they would need to conform to the outlines of what's proposed, of what ends up to be approved by council.
Does that answer your question, Val?
It does. I could go down question after question after question just out of curiosity, but I won't bore you with any of that. It's
George, you're the closest person in this room that lives to that. So, do you have any comments or?
Not at this time. Well, I do have one boring question. On north of Lacey Road, right at where Commerce Park Drive, yeah, right there where you mark it. What's the timeline on development in there? Mm-hmm. And on the east side of Commerce Park, up to Promega? Is there any plans going ahead on that, or?
Well, we have, of course, council has approved, actually almost last fall, council approved a minor comp plan amendment for these lands west of Commerce Park and then north of Lacey. The next step is in the development process would be to come forward with a land division and a rezone. They have not done that. I do not have a timeline for that work to proceed.
Okay. What actions are you looking for?
No, this is just a discussion, information only, just more keeping the committee in the loop of the things that are happening.
Very good, thank you.
I would just like, if we're ready, I'll just briefly talk about Greenfield.
Yep.
The last meeting that we held was a neighborhood meeting on July 31st in this room, and we shared the 2 concepts that evening. Took lots of comments, lots of feedback. Staff is hearing that the neighborhood has some really big concerns about development in Greenfield. The next step here is staff is going to take these 2 development concepts to the steering committee on September 19th, where we are hopeful that the steering committee can lend their direction to refine into one plan that attempts to address neighborhood concerns, but also brings forward some kind of plan forward. So we will take public comments that evening after the steering committee has done their work. I guess the major differences with these 2 concepts, this concept essentially does not have the northern route to shift some of the traffic off of Irish Lane. We've heard from the community that they do not want the connection between the existing neighborhood and the proposed neighborhood, so those connections are likely to go away. We're likely to rework this so that there's maybe more of a loop that is separate from the existing neighborhood. I think staff is leaning towards trying to create that direct connection all the way through from Blaney Road and then down to Byrne Road. But this evening, just interested in hearing any feedback from this committee. Both of these plans continue to incorporate what we refer to as the agrihood. Here it's just as farm, rural, residential in these areas. This plan number 2, like I said, mentioned, would pull a new collector street to the north to take some pressure of the traffic off of Irish Lane. Staff has determined that in terms of the interchange, the plan will not be going forward showing an interchange at this time. There's just simply not enough information to say an interchange would go here or here or here or where. So in general, staff is suggesting that the plan move forward without a specific interchange. So
if you remove the interchange, would you still have that collector street north of Lacey? Or was that dependent on an interchange?
In my mind, not necessarily. The primary purpose of the north, in my mind, of that northern route was to take some of the traffic pressure off of Irish Lane. And, it's just a very challenging situation. And there's going to be more traffic on Irish Lane, even if this plan dies right here. And the thinking was that we could relieve some of that pressure and support and better protect the neighborhood without funneling more and more traffic onto Irish Lane. That, of course, is met with quite a bit of opposition. And we probably will end up with Irish Lane continuing through. But like I said, there's challenges, long-term challenges, just with that traffic.
Well, I thought that the interchange in Irish continuing through in its current location would be kind of the best solution. I guess I didn't consider that the interchange couldn't possibly maybe not happen, but it is. I looked at it as a positive to have an access point to the south side of Fitchburg from 14. Is that because that is a transportation project plat and adds a significant cost to the?
Well, I think it's a really good question. There's, an interchange has to be paid for locally. The state doesn't do that. So what we have to think carefully is about, and so in one piece of it, in talking about interchanges, we have to figure out the long-term tax base to support that interchange, right? What is the growth and the development that's going to support that interchange long-term to pay for the cost of doing an interchange? Number 2, staff realized in working with our public works team that the east-west connections are complicated. So, and what I mean by that is the Lacey interchange, to my understanding, the Lacey interchange was intending to come across on East Sherrill, not Lacey. DOT did not like that because it wasn't a more significant east-west route. So that's why the interchange on Lacey connected to Lacey as a more significant east-west route than East Sherrill. So in order to even begin to start having discussions with the DOT and start talking about a potential location for an interchange, we're going to need to work out those east-west connections and how it relates to a larger regional area, if that makes sense.
Deanna, there's, It's not shown on here. But where the sewer line would come through, if they extended the sewer line south, there's a major wetland area they would have to go through. And that is not shown on here.
Yeah, we're, at this stage, the design team, the planning team has not gone into infrastructure and looking at the specifics of where that line would go. But as you know, the Cyene interceptor would come down some way through here, is where the Cyene interceptor, probably east of the tracks, west of 14.
Yeah, and that's, like I say, right, there's, right at Cyene, there is, you go east of Cyene, there is a major set of springs, and that's where that's where the active watershed begins.
Yeah, this is here south of, we recognize this, south of Hartung, there is a significant wetland complex. From my understanding, fairly high quality.
Yes, it is. So that would be a challenge to put something through there. And unfortunate if we ruined it.
I understand it would be a challenge to bring the sanitary sewer down.
Any other comments from the committee members on either of these plans?
I just wanted to add, clearly we've had a lot of really good conversation with neighbors, and I really appreciate city staff taking inputs and already incorporating them in here. And I think the other the biggest like consistent themes I've heard have been the sewer connection and the financial burden that brings to people who live there, and stormwater concerns and issues. And while new construction is very responsible, right? They are not allowed, there's all these checks that they must pass where they cannot exacerbate existing storm water issues. It has to stay the same. I think we've heard from some neighbors like, the same isn't great either. And so I think that's a piece that we have to continue to check in and ask ourselves, like, are we serving this community the best we can with the stormwater management that's in place? So I know as the alder assigned to this neighborhood committee, I've had many hours of conversations with different individuals from the neighborhood. I've driven through the neighborhood, looked at the various plans, and I really appreciate the respectful conversations. Some have been not so respectful, but I really appreciate the majority of them have been incredibly respectful and incredibly passionate, but still understandable, right? This is people's homes, and you get really passionate when you talk about your home. So thank you to everybody who's reached out and given really specific feedback in terms of what is giving them cause for concern or consternation in the specific plans, so that staff and myself and Jim Wheeler can advocate for those specific things. It's been super helpful.
Any other committee members have comments? My concern is the wetlands there. The idea of taking that corridor to Burn Road is probably 50 to 80 years before that would be possible. Because my land is in a trust, comes through my land. And all of my current children have to be dead before the grandkids have an opportunity to sell it.
Okay, that's good to know.
So that's, and my one daughter, her grandma lived to be 108, so it'd probably be a while.
Yeah, that's great.
So I don't see that happening.
Okay, that's good feedback.
And the stormwater, the existing stormwater in that area is the Curry Court stormwater. There's an issue with the landowner not allowing that to be done. That would be the Haas family is not allowed that to be done.
And where is that?
That's on Irish or Curry Court.
Curry Court is down here.
Oh.
And this is Haas, and there's wetland complex through here too.
Yep, that's where it would have to go, and that's been farmed, and there's no drainage out of that area. So, and the Haas family is not real interested in working with the city on that.
This is true.
So,
and I will say, we do hear, staff is hearing the stormwater concerns. They're consistent in the neighborhood. Unfortunately, this neighborhood was built without the kind of stormwater infrastructure requirements that we have today. Not anybody's fault.
No, it's not the only one in the city.
And it's not the only one in the city.
That was done that way.
Yeah.
Or surrounding areas. It was an afterthought back in those days.
Yeah.
I have one question on west of Sayin, south of Irish Lane. Is a lot of that in a shared sewer and water?
Where is it?
So if you're talking
It'd be
about
the gold, isn't it gold development in there?
yeah, there's no all of this is on septic yet.
It's all on septic?
Yes.
All of this is on septic.
There is no sanitary. There's water in some of that area.
So city water goes to those properties still?
Most of
I
them
thought
has
maybe there was
city water.
shared well or something in there
At
some
one point in time, there were several shared wells, and that the DNR mandated the city to put in city water because the water quality was a problem.
Yeah, for sure.
And so the city did that. And I would say not a third of them are on city water. 2/3 of them are on private wells.
In the yellow, just south of Irish, you're saying?
Yes, south of Irish and west of Sayin.
Yep, that area right here.
Would any of that be subject to change on any of these development concepts? I doubt if they
in which way?
could change any of that, force change, to where they would hook up to.
If the city puts sewer and water either in, they are forced to hook up. Period.
Or pay an impact fee or something, right?
You pay that too, but you're forced to hook up. It's not an option. And that's, a pretty financial burden for some of them. My daughter's lot, in order to hook onto city water, to bore the street and live tap the main is about $15,000. So that's, a lot of people don't have that kind of cash. Any other comments? If not, we will report from the department.
Yes. Okay. So I'll just bounce back. Mayor had intended to join us for item A, and I'm not sure if she's going to have the chance, but I will just report from the department. So.
Can I interrupt on that? to maybe give her a little time if she's
Yeah,
going to come.
we'll skip ahead. Yeah.
Because I kind of overlooked a question that I wanted to bring up on the Ag District.
Yes,
if we
of course.
Go back on that.
Yeah, of course we can.
On page 33 of on page 33 of the packet that we have on Ag District zoning requirements, on item 7, that crop means cultivated plant that indicates any of the following. And if you read item A and B and go down to where it talks about shrubs and trees on item D, is there any, with a lot of the woodland in Fitchburg, is there anything that states in this Ag District plan about woodland being a crop?
Okay.
Because it seems like it should, with Fitchburg being all about tree capital of the world and, managed forest land, which I 100% agree that is a good thing. But if you're going to harvest any trees for the products, whether it be timber for building and woodland or furniture, or whether it be wood chips for compost, I would think there should be something in there that would allow it to be labeled as a crop. It's just, I don't see anything other than, maybe nursery stock. But even at that, when trees become mature, it's time to take the value out of them and allow, growth of younger stock to mature, just like, any other ag crop.
So, of course, the document that you're referring to here, George, is the state code here. I'm happy to follow up with our state contact about forest products. Generally, my interpretation has been that forestry kind of stands separate than agriculture.
I understand the separation, especially through the state, when they're taxing woodland now at a higher rate. So what's wrong with treating it like a crop to where you can receive subsidy? I know you can put it into a forest management program, but that just seems like an option. It seems like it shouldn't have to be an option. It should be standard.
Okay. I hear what you're saying, George. I'll check into it for you.
Appreciate that. Any other comments from other?
I think Brad's got something to say about
it. I can also add something on that. If you look at the definitions for agricultural use on number 2 at the first page of that ordinance, it does include forest management. Do you think that would kind of fall under what you are asking, George?
I would think so, but it just doesn't seem specific to the management of wood products. The bottom line is what you'd receive in value off the ag land.
Okay, thanks.
The programs that you alluded to, George, they're restricted by acreage. So there are several parcels in the city of Fitchburg that are excluded from any of the state programs because of the smaller acreage. So I believe there's nothing under, if it's under 5 acres, you do not qualify for the state program.
That's something I don't have knowledge of, but I can certainly check into.
So there isn't many options for some of the 2 and 3 acre parcels.
To be considered as agriculture.
Right.
Yeah.
And as one of our prior assessing members, when I brought that up to them, he suggested I cut the trees down. So we didn't do that. So anyway, but you pay quite a tax for land you can get no or very little value out of. So I've always wondered why we as a city, being, as you said, George, the tree city, we can't have a program separate from the state. At least would throw a crumb or two at those parcels. So anyway.
Well, there has to be a considerable amount of acreage in the city that would meet the requirements, is what I'm looking at.
On the programs, yeah, you're correct. There are several that do. Not everybody's involved, but you're correct. But on the smaller parcels, I can think of a dozen off the top of my head.
Oh, yeah.
That don't qualify. So, and I agree with you that wood should be a crop, but it's not.
Well, it seems like it could be a business for somebody, especially when I know when we did a timber harvest, they couldn't even they weren't just necessarily, our woods wasn't a problem, but when they did some harvesting of walnut trees in residential areas, the city would not accept brush any larger than 1 inch in diameter. So they were required, when they took a tree down, if someone didn't want the wood for firewood, they had to take it to the county landfill over off of 12. And that just seems kind of ridiculous, that I know it would be too much of a burden for the city unless they were set up to actually make clean compost out of it or some renewable energy use out of it.
I think that might be a pelletary contract.
Pardon?
The brush pickup.
Well, yeah, but when you take a tree down, and if people don't want limbs that are larger than 1 inch, and a lot of people burn firewood, but it's not everybody that wants to
totally.
deal with that.
Totally.
So then, the company that purchases a tree, or on a lot, then they have to take and haul the stuff outside of the city to a landfill in the county. It just seems a little ridiculous.
And that adds to the cost, or it diminishes the price that the farmer's going to get for that product.
Right. And it seems like there could be.
Bottom line, it goes back to the farmer.
Yeah, I don't know over there off of Burn Road, where they're doing so much work with the timber there on the north side of Burn Road, where they're making a lot of wood chips and firewood, and
yep.
It seems like there should be something there for a place to go to take care of the trees. If we're going to be the tree capital of the world, I can't see what's wrong with taking care of them and getting the value out of what you're doing.
Any other?
I just want to point out that this ordinance, the zoning, the AAX zoning ordinance doesn't necessarily, how woodland is treated in that won't change how it's taxed, and it won't change, I guess, the services available for woods management. What it really does is set up whether it's allowed or not in there. So however it's treated in here doesn't really affect those issues.
Well, yeah, I guess what I would say is if there would be any option for woodland preservation subsidy, because there's it's ag land preservation subsidy for a certain amount of ag land if you can show that you're doing a use with it. It's just that woodland is treated differently as far as any kind of ag land preservation. I would think we could have it fall under ag land, treating it like a crop. That's my opinion. I don't know what.
We can look into it a little bit more, George. You have Mayor.
You want to go back to item A?
Yes, we have Mayor on the line.
Okay, great. Welcome, Madam Mayor.
Hello?
Yeah, welcome, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. I'm sorry that I just missed the first part. I have a client meeting that it took longer. So sorry. So I want to talk to you about something fun and great, I think so. And I want to have your feedback. Is the Fitchburg Farm Museum. So I will need help. I don't know who is helping with the slide.
Yeah.
Can we move to the next slide? Is you, Diana? Okay.
It's me. Yep.
Okay. Oh, it's thank. Okay. So one of the things, as you know, the city is going through the strategic plan right now. And during that process, there was a lot of questions that the city council and the mayor had to answer. We have a couple of workshop meetings. And during that process, the question about our identity came. And also last year when I ran for mayor and talking to the neighbors, people mentioned to me, we don't have a downtown. We don't have our own identity. We don't have, our school district. But, going through this process right now, yes, we have our identity. We have, we are a farmland community that in the last couple of years or 50 years have we evolved to become from a township to a city. And we continue to grow. But our core, who we are, our DNA started in our farmland community. So this is for when I was thinking about this concept and I say, how about if we can do something about this, what are the needs to create this farm museum or agricultural museum? It doesn't matter the name, but I hope you understand the concept. Is the main goal is to have that preserve our history and heritage, not only to the current neighbors and residents, but also to future generations. So the museum is the preservation of our agricultural heritage. Fitchburg has a rich agricultural history that was founded by immigrant Irish farmer in the 1840. And the museum can help preserve this heritage. So as you see in the slide, the other why is this can become a destination place. We can attract visitors. We can it can become something that people say, let's go to Fitchburg. They have a great farm museum. That one we can work with the Fitchburg Chamber of Commerce because the Fitchburg Chamber is the agency that is doing all the promotional activity for the city. And also can foster our identity, who we are as a community. And also the site can become a gathering place that we can host events, educational workshops, and also a place where the community can be engaged. Next one. So the process about that is the council just approved my capital budget, or also known as a capital improvement plan. And I added a $50,000 design and a $500,000 for capital to start thinking about this museum. And the year I allocated in 2033, 2034, but it's something that, as you know, if this idea gain traction, people are motivated to do it, we can accelerate the process and start rethinking this, before those 2033. And council didn't remove it from the capital budget, so I think that the council is also on board with this project too. Next one. So continue with the process is, so how we can do this if we decided to move forward? Okay, so first we need to find partners, So as I mentioned, the Fitchburg Chamber of Commerce can be one, working with the Fitchburg Historical Society, because they have all this content and history of the city. For Winds, and other partners that we can become a destination place. The other thing, we need to form a volunteer group that wants to start rethinking about the museum. We can call it the Friend of the Agricultural Museum or the Farm Museum. Something similar to, I don't know, the the Veteran Park. They have a group of volunteers and people that practically they decided to build this park with the help of the city. This is why we have a beautiful veteran park in the city, because a group of neighbors who decided that it was a good idea. So I envision something like that, to have a group of volunteers, neighbors, that they are really say, this is a good idea, we want to do it, let's work together. The other thing is going to be very important if we move forward is to find a site. And the site had to be strategically located, had to be in a farmland. And we have plenty of farmlands and we have plenty of land, and I hope someone can donate a place, a site, that we can do this. Also, we can choose a theme of the museum. It could be what this museum can show and can display. It can be a period of time. It could be some activities, in the agricultural, world. I don't know. And the other thing that we need to start doing is to gather and collect documents, like antiques, farming tool, picture, farm logs, so how those, I imagine that many of you, that they are farmers or you have your farmers neighbor, I assuming that you have some of these equipment, tools that you don't use, and they can be donated to the city. Eventually the city can storage until we find a place, or maybe it can be storage in a farm, in another place. And then we need to have, if we have a group of people that is ready to go, maybe we need to have a plan of action for this, how we're going to do it, timeline, time frame, resources, you know what I mean? We can also look for fundraising activities too, if we can create a Friend of the Agricultural Museum, where that we can do events to collect funding. Like, I don't know, an idea is to have pizza on a farm, and then we can donate all the proceeds of that event for the farm museum. So there are plenty of ideas, things that we can do to make sure, if we, if you guys are interested, this is where I came to you, because you are represent that the farmland, the farmers, our rural area. So next one. What are the museum opportunities for the city? Is, as I mentioned, preserve our history, heritage, host event, educational, workshop, festivals. We can do festivals, be a destination plan, share a space with, also will be a space with the Fitchburg Historical Society. Something that is not there, but it can provide volunteer opportunity to neighbors, and also improve our community engagement. So I really believe that an agricultural museum in the city can serve as a place that benefits the community culturally, educationally, and economically. So that's it. This is if you, I don't know, any feedback, comments?
Anybody from the committee have some thoughts on this? Speak up now.
It's a good idea, bad idea. Do you think that we can do it or no? This is why I'm here.
my opinion is it sounds good, but I think a good portion of it is going to be addressed as wishful thinking, because I know a lot of the older generation has either passed away or, and their children have moved out or moved on. And as far as donation, I can't see, the cost of someone to donate a piece of property or location may be difficult. Of course, like you've said, I first off think of Four Winds Farms because how nice it's fixed up, and Mary Ann seems all pro agriculture as far as addressing, people that don't live out in a rural area to come out and see what it's like to how the crops are grown and but as far as the history goes, I don't know as if there's a lot of, our family's probably one of the oldest. I know we're not Irish, but there's probably some Irish in the site. But as far as that goes, for families to actually donate a lot of their documents and their artifacts, I think that's a keepsake for a lot of them. I don't think they want to just, donate them to, but I could be wrong. And I like the idea that
maybe it can be a consignment.
What's that?
A consignment, you know what I mean?
Oh,
like
consignment.
Yeah.
Well,
no, but you.
It seems like there's a lot of work.
Idea about the Four Wind.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea, but I think you've got a lot of work ahead of you to try to get it all organized.
Yeah, a good thing take a lot of time, believe me.
Although the Historical Society is pretty good with giving a lot of information out there on.
Yeah.
I like the intention behind preserving the agricultural heritage and tools of the trade and just the historical value to the farmland and the people that contribute to that in Fitchburg and recognizing those roots. I agree with George. I think you're going to be hard-pressed to find anybody willing to donate agricultural land. That's speculation, so I don't know. McGaw Park seems like a great place to put a facility like this on that doesn't require donation of lands. It's secluded. It's an existing resource of the city. It doesn't require a donation, but that's naming one site out of hundreds of sites. It seems additionally like it would be something in conflict with Four Winds Farms, sort of doing something by the city that almost already exists today by a private entity. And then lastly, and sort of most sensitive to me, is we're asking to preserve the heritage of Fitchburg and its agricultural roots while we simultaneously create neighborhood plans that take away the agricultural use. And that's kind of talking out of both sides of our mouth, isn't it? To say we want to preserve all this, but we also want to grow. And in growing, we're going to eliminate that use. We're going to bury our economic heritage, our agricultural roots, and pave it and put in high-density residential. It's sort of it's more of a tribute or a memorial than it is a token of appreciation or recognition of culture.
Okay, thank you for your feedback.
Shelley, do you have any thoughts? Okay. You've got, you've mentioned, we've talked about Mary Ann's, what's her? Four Winds. And you've also got Apple Garden, who does have a fall, or used to have a fall festival. I don't know if they still do.
They have a lot of activity going on in the fall. Apple picking.
Anyway, so there is some of that going on, and I champion you for the thoughts, and we'll just kind of see where it goes from here. So. That's all I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yep, Madam Mayor.
Okay.
Enjoy your evening.
Okay, thank you guys. Bye.
Let's go back to a report from the department. Do you have any updates on? I had an update for the committee on the Burn Road solar field. After the third design, I think they've solved the water issue coming across the road, and got to give them credit for being tenacious and sticking with it, trying to get it done. So it seems to be in pretty good shape now. Adam and I did speak a little about the ditch along Burn Road, on the south side of Burn Road, should really be cleaned out, and that really should be done, or should be paid for by the site, or by the One Energy, or what is their One Energy? Well, yeah, because it was their problem that filled that ditch in, or part of it anyway. So we'll work on that. So that's all I have.
To that, Mark, I don't know how, Deanna helped me out here, but I don't know how long One Energy will be around. I mean, they applied for the conditional use and everything, but when that thing's built, it transfers to the utility.
Right.
So does the responsibility, or do they have to hand over a clean project free of encumbrances like a dirty ditch? And
the utility becomes obligated to meet the requirements of the conditional use permit.
Okay. Anyway, is there any update on the water?
Yeah, the ordinance to update the well ordinance, that is under review by the city attorney, but Tracy is hopeful to get that referred out here very soon.
Thank you. Anything else, Deanna?
No, I do not have any other items.
I have a question for Deanna on, and I know Nicole just walked out, but she was also going to follow up on the speed limit change on Seminole Highway. Was there any discussion on that?
I did speak with our city engineers, and they have certain criterias to change speed limits, and his thinking at this point, South Seminole does not meet those criterias.
Well, I know he was talking about signage too, you know, by north of Roman Road where our homestead is. And I haven't seen any changes in there. I didn't know whether they're going to get anything changed before this fall. And there was also a bike lane put in on the west side of Seminole at that hill north of Roman Road. I don't know if that's going back in.
Yeah, I don't know.
But with the new highway, we're seeing a lot of traffic with bicyclists now because it's a nice new paved road. And like my big issue is next year's Fitchburg, so all the traffic's going to be on Seminole. You can guarantee that north-south traffic's going to be moved over to Seminole.
I'll check on the signage and see what the status of that is.
Okay.
Appreciate that.
Any announcements at all? For us, any announcements?
Nope.
Okay.
Not from me.
If Nothing else, I'll
We
accept a
won't-
motion to,
We won't meet next month, is that?
I'm not planning on a meeting for
Okay.
next month.
okay, very good, unless something comes up.
Yes.
Second?
Second.
Motion made and second to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you very much.